Hey there, good evening. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Gadi, Schwartz, coming to you from Los Angeles, and here are the stories we're watching tonight. Starting with some sort of influencer PlayStation giveaway that sparked absolute chaos in New York. Now police are telling people to avoid Manhattan's Union Square. We're going to have a full report. Plus, we'll explain why victims' families are having to relive the Parkland school shooting all over again with another shooting, but this time under court supervision.
I want them to see what happens when you don't prioritize the safety and security of our kids above education. Because what happens is you get dead kids.
And barely 24 hours after his third arrest and arraignment, Donald Trump is campaigning at a Republican event in Alabama. But how are people reacting to these latest charges in a place like New Hampshire, a state that Trump lost in 2020?
He did a lot of things that were right, and he did a lot of things that were wrong. I mean, that's just the way politics works.
And July's job numbers are in. We're going to tell you if you might be able to let go of some of those fears of a recession. Hey, good evening. We start tonight in Manhattan's Union Square, where there was what looked like a riot, all because some Twitch streamer was saying he was going to give away PlayStations, PCs, keyboards, gift cards, and other stuff. And crowds took over the streets and even started standing on top of cars and hot dog carts. Take a listen to what people told our affiliate on the ground.
They threw water bottles at cops and everything. Yeah. Tomatoes, it was crazy.
And there are thousands of people, right?
Yeah, there are really thousands of people. I couldn't even explain how much people there was.
They threw cones, they threw chairs, like some people just standing up, they're climbing up the statue and all that stuff.
And people were literally throwing trash at cops who were trying to control the swarms of people. And according to the NYPD, it got pretty violent out there. At one point, they had to call an estimated 1,000 officers to mobilize the situation. And that Twitch streamer, Kai Cenat, is now in police custody. But right now, it's still not clear what charges he's being held on. But according to the NYPD, inciting a riot might be one of them. NBC's Ron Allen is there for us tonight. Ron, so who is this Twitch streamer and how did it get that out of hand?
Kai Cenat, believe me, I know a lot more about him now than I did a few hours ago. And there are millions and millions of young people who follow him on Twitch and YouTube, and he's something of a comedic presence. He's about 21 years old. He's from New York. A lot of people said they came here because he's a successful celebrity from the neighborhoods, a success story. And he's obviously got a lot of popularity. He came here, arrived with a van. There have been some advertisement, a lot of advertisement on social media that he was going to give away PlayStation consoles, gift cards, unclear how many. Apparently a van showed up with him, and as soon as he arrived, mayhem broke out. Now, the police say that they were tracking this for some time. They watch social media. They say they've had events like this in the past. That's not unusual. But what is unusual is that it got out of hand very quickly, and why and how is still unclear at this hour. Right now, the streets are relatively calm. There's still a very big police presence. There's still a lot of people milling about. It's Friday night in New York in the summertime, but police think they've got it under control. There have been numerous arrests. The police describe putting a number of people getting arrested on a city bus, and the bus getting attacked and the bus driving off. So that gives you some sense of the numbers of people involved in all this and the number of people arrested. No serious injuries reported, but a lot of minor injuries, including to police officers. There was a lot of stuff flying around in the air, rocks, bottles, and there was a construction site in the heart of Union Square where this was all happening. And the police say that some people got access to shovels and axes, paint cans. So a very violent few hours here in the heart of New York.
And I understand that Kai was taken into custody or possibly taken out of there by police. Do we know where he is right now?
He's still in police custody. Unclear what he's going to be charged with, if anything. The police at the press conference said that there's a possibility that he could be charged with something like inciting a riot. Here's a bit more of what they had to say at the press conference about the day's events. Take a listen.
I personally observed young people having panic attacks, anxiety attacks, asthma attacks. There was multiple, people were suffering out here. It was a lot of people. It was uncontrolled. It took us a while to get it under control, and a lot of young people got hurt. This speaks to the power of social media and the danger of social media.
In fact, that's, yes, really the power of social media, because it's my understanding that he has some 13 million followers on YouTube, Twitch, perhaps other platforms. And so that gives you an idea of what's going on in social media. All these people came out here at the appointed hour, which was, I believe, 4 o'clock. And the police, again, they say they saw it coming, but this one just got out of hand. And what set it off? What was the igniter? What really pushed it over the edge? What made it get out of hand is unclear. And again, he's being questioned. There's some reporting suggesting that he did not have a permit to do this. And again, he may be charged, we understand, with inciting a riot.
The power of social media and, I guess, the power of chasing clout. Thanks so much, Ron. And while so many people across the country seem to have moved on from what happened in Parkland, Florida in 2018, inside the halls of Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School, the crime scene is still frozen in time. And today, family members of the victims joined a group of lawmakers on a walkthrough of the school. And one congressman described the halls and classrooms as a time capsule, exactly as they were the day after the shooting. Blood and bullets, stained walls, broken glass, even an unfinished game of chess.
We wanted to bring them through this building so that they understand the failures. I think they really do now. They get it.
We wake up every day with the terrible knowledge of the loss of our children or our spouses. It's terrible. Going through that school heightens that, and we think it changes everybody who's been there.
I have hope that after today, the congressmen will and congresswomen will go back to Congress and take action.
Now, listen to this. After the tour, a court-ordered reenactment of the shooting played out with live ammunition, up to 140 bullets. It's part of the lawsuit against a sheriff's deputy accusing him of failing in his duty to protect the victims. The massacre left 14 students and 3 staff members dead.
For all day now, there has been a reenactment going on outside of Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School, where I am standing in the middle of the road. This has been closed throughout the day. You look at all the police lights behind me. They are just now opening things up. But the real issue here, 2 things going on unrelated here in Parkland. One of them, the fact that this reenactment contained live ammunition being used on an AR-15 type of rifle, the same kind that the shooter used on that tragic day, 2018 Valentine's Day. Why are they doing all this? As you said, it's because of a civil lawsuit against Scott Peterson, who is the school resource officer who was found by a jury here to be not guilty of felony child neglect. But the parents in Parkland still believe that he showed cowardice and did not step in and go into that 1200 building as kids were being killed. And they want him to pay literally for that. Now, the question becomes, why is this still going on? Because it's still a crime scene, and they are still gathering that reenactment and simulation to understand whether or not Peterson would have been able to hear where the shots were coming from. He said he could not tell that day. The thing is, though, you have 600 to 1,000 kids that were piling out of the school, cars in the parking lot. None of that was there today. So it really does beg the question, would this have been an accurate simulation? At the same time, an extraordinary event today, with 9 delegates, or I should say 9 members of the congressional delegation, many from Florida, but also California, New York, and Pennsylvania, touring the hallways of Stoneman Douglas. It looks exactly the same right now as it did 5.5 years ago, which is to say there's blood-stained issues all over the hallways. You have bullet holes. You also have shattered glass and the signs of bullets where the shooter tried to go down from the 3rd floor and shoot outside. It didn't penetrate because it's hurricane-force windows. But these are the conditions these lawmakers are going in there and trying to understand the depth of this tragedy and also what more they can do, because Florida did lead the way when it came to a reform package here, whether it's red flag laws or also raising the age for getting long-range guns, long guns, I should say, to 21 years old, other things around mental health services and coordination between agencies when it comes to threat assessment. They're trying to export those plans that have already worked here in Florida throughout the federal government and see if they can get lawmakers in Congress to act as well. Will that happen? That's the big question that remains to be seen. In Parkland, Sam Brock, NBC News. Back to you.
Such haunting descriptions, Sam. Thanks so much. Now, it's been a little over 24 hours since former President Donald Trump was arraigned for the third time on criminal charges, but he's back on the campaign trail and expected to take the stage at an Alabama Republican dinner any minute now. And if his Truth Social account is any indication, he's going to be trashing his latest federal indictment and trying to raise a lot of money off of it. Trump pleaded not guilty to 4 felony counts yesterday, all involving his attempts to disrupt the peaceful transfer of power after the 2020 election. And he could face another possible criminal indictment related to election interference, this time in Georgia, by the end of the month. Let's bring in NBC News correspondent Julie Sirkin, who is in Montgomery, Alabama, for us tonight. Julie, any movement up or down on Trump's standing with voters out there in Alabama after what we saw this week?
Yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit, Gadi, and it's good to be with you tonight. Senator Tommy Tuberville actually just took the stage, so that means former President Trump's remarks are just minutes away. I want to set the scene here for you, give you some color and bring you into this room. Just a few minutes ago, we heard from somebody who said that this is the most money they've ever raised for the Alabama Republican Party because Trump is the keynote speaker here. This room is filled with about 2,700 attendees, most of them, at least the ones we spoke to, who are firmly behind the former president. They think that his indictments are a sham. They've said that to me and my team and everyone else who spoke to us here. They support him and stand with him through and through. I also wasn't able to find a single person who actually read the indictment or knew what the charges were. But take a listen to what they had to say today. Watch.
It's all bogus. I think they're just after Trump because they don't want him to run, but he's going to give them a run for their money.
A bunch of bull, because he is not guilty of anything that anybody else has not done. All he has ever wanted is the best for America.
The indictment is hogwash. It's just a Democratic way to distract America from what's really going on.
We took a look at some of the excerpts, from the former president's speech that he's about to deliver. He spends much of it actually echoing that, feeding right into this crowd, playing right into what they want to hear, which is that he's going to fight these indictments. He thinks they are a sham. He calls out President Biden multiple times. He questions the timing of when these charges were brought. For example, he says this latest indictment was brought 2.5 years after January 6th actually happened, questioning the timing, saying it's because he's the front runner in the polls right now. But overall, much of what you'd expect to hear from his supporters here, and this is certainly a very friendly crowd here gathered for the former president and very excited to hear him come on stage.
Julie Sirkin with a live look at what's going on in Alabama. Julie, thanks so much for joining us. And Alabama is friendly territory for Donald Trump. It's a state he won overwhelmingly in 2020. But what are people saying about the latest charges in other states, like ones where he didn't do so well in the last election? Well, NBC's Julia Jester, who's been chatting with voters in New Hampshire, has more.
Well, Gadi, we've been chatting with voters here at the Cheshire County Fair in western New Hampshire, getting their take on this week's indictment and arraignment. And there's been a bit of fatigue among these voters regarding President Trump's legal woes. We heard across the board Trump supporters and undecided voters that they'd rather be focused on kitchen table issues, the economy, American values, things that are important to their daily lives. And as for Trump's base, his supporters are not leaving him. Nothing he seems to do can cause them to even consider another candidate. Here's what we heard from voters here today.
They could try to impeach him a couple of times, I think it was. They're trying to get him into jail. They're trying to get him out of the picture. And I feel like Trump has done a lot of good things while he was the president.
People are tired of what's been going on for the last 8 years. A lot of people are tired of Trump.
And so while some candidates have been wary to alienate Trump supporters in order to possibly win them over, from the voters we've spoken with, it doesn't seem like there's anything these challengers can do to convince them to switch their vote from President Trump to somebody else in this race. And so for candidates that are leaning more towards winning over the Trump skeptics and the independents that are not pleased with his conduct and want to see the courts play out these indictments. You see candidates like former Vice President Mike Pence even selling merch with the quote, "too honest" from the indictment itself in a conversation that he had with former President Trump, where he said that there was no constitutional basis to throw out electoral votes. So he is really leaning into that to try to win over some of the voters that are tired of seeing Trump being indicted and do think his conduct is not appropriate. So we'll see how this plays out in a primary state that's critical and also lets independent voters cast their ballot in the primary. Gadi?
Julia Jester, thanks so much. And we've got much more ahead. We told you about a gay man who was stabbed to death at a gas station in Brooklyn for dancing. Tonight, a suspect is in custody. Those details are just ahead, so stay tuned. Hey there, welcome back. And here are some of the headlines we're watching tonight. An appeals court is letting the Biden administration's strict rules on seeking asylum at the southern border to stay in place at least for now. That rule says people must first seek protection in the country they're traveling through on the way to the United States. And remember those two Democratic lawmakers in Tennessee who were expelled by Republicans for protesting gun violence on the chamber floor? Well, last night, both Justin Jones and Justin J. Pearson won their seats back about 4 months after they lost them. And in Mississippi, 6 white ex-police officers pled guilty to civil rights violations involving 2 black men. In a January raid, the former officers assaulted and tortured the men, even shoving a gun into one of the men's mouths and then shooting, breaking his jaw.
These men sexually abused their victims, repeatedly tased them, tortured them, all under the authority of the badge, which they disgraced.
And those former cops are going to be sentenced in November. On Long Island, authorities just identified another one of the Gilgo Beach murder victims.
Today, we are here to announce that as part of the Gilgo Task Force re-examination of all the evidence in the case, we were able to identify Fire Island Jane Doe as Karen Vergata, who was 34 years old at the time of her disappearance.
And by now, everyone has seen this video of Cardi B throwing a microphone at a concert goer after she got splashed with a drink. Well, according to the Las Vegas police, the rapper has now been cleared of all charges. And get this, that microphone is up for auction on eBay with the highest bid at almost $100K. Talk about an expensive mic drop. And a suspect is now in custody for allegedly killing a 28-year-old gay man at a Brooklyn gas station last weekend. O'Shea Sibley was dancing to a Beyonce song when his group of friends and another group got into some sort of altercation. And Sibley, a professional dancer, was stabbed and later died at the hospital. His death is being investigated as a possible hate crime, but as of now, no charges have been made, and little is known about the suspect, including his name, but apparently he turned himself in. Tomorrow, a vigil is planned to honor Sibley's life at Manhattan's LGBTQ Community Center. And the latest job numbers are out, and they're a little lower than expected. The U.S. added 187,000 jobs in July, below estimates. But a little bit of good news, the unemployment rate fell to 3.5%, which is just above levels we have not seen since 1969. So let's bring in NBC News' Brian Chung to break down these latest numbers. Brian, can we stop stressing about a recession now or no?
Well, some on Wall Street are saying that. JP Morgan looked at the numbers today and said, we're no longer calling for a recession this year. Let's unpack the numbers that got them to that conclusion. These are the job figures that we got in the morning. In July, the United States added 187,000 jobs. Yes, that's a little bit lower than the 200,000 that Wall Street economists were expecting, but it's a little bit faster than the pace that we saw in June of 185,000. And really good when you consider that unemployment rate that you just mentioned at 3.5%. That's just hovering right near those 1969 lows that we've seen many, many decades ago. So where do we see the job gains in the month? We saw in sectors like leisure and hospitality, or bars and restaurants, retail trade adding 8,500 jobs as well. Those are jobs at the mall. Not all sectors did gain. Professional and business services, those white collar jobs inside the office, did contract by about 8,000. But the last thing I want to point out here, which tells us maybe the American consumer is in a better picture now, wage growth. How much did people get paid this year compared to this time last year? Wages going up 4.4%. And this is really good when you consider that inflation for the first time this summer is below this pace. Prices at the store going up by 3%. So your wallet is growing at a faster pace than your price tag. Again, hasn't happened until this summer. That's something that's very notable and a reason for perhaps why people might be saying the economic picture in the future might not be so bad, Gadi.
And meanwhile, I guarantee we've got people that are watching this that are like, I still can't find a job, or I'm still not getting paid more. Economic recovery isn't the same for everybody. Can you break down which groups in the country are doing well and are ahead of the curve and which are falling behind?
Yeah, really important point that you bring up here. We're looking at aggregate numbers here, but the overall picture is going to be different depending on different types of groups. And when you look at, for example, the breakdown of unemployment by race, you can see that the black unemployment rate at 5.8%. Yes, that's a tick down from the 6% that we saw in June. But again, the national average is 3.5%. So the unemployment rate is almost double that of the overall picture. Now, the Asian unemployment rate did go down at 2.3%. Latino unemployment did actually tick up between June and July, 4.3 to 4.4%. So the picture is very much different depending on what demographics that you're looking at. But again, broadly speaking, the picture does appear to show the jobs market chugging along. And again, wage growth looking pretty good as well. So hopefully those pictures can start to bleed through those other demographics as well. But as you point out, Gadi, not the same picture depending on what portion of the country and what households you're talking about.
Yeah, hopefully it keeps trending up. NBC's Brian Chung, thanks so much. And now to Florida, where AP courses, you know, those classes that can earn college credits, well, they continue to be a hot button issue, landing right in the middle of Florida's culture war. First, it was AP African American Studies. Now it's AP Psychology. And according to the College Board, AP Psych has been, quote, effectively banned in Florida over the course's content on sexual orientation and gender identity. Or is it? NBC's Guad Venegas joins us now from Miami. Okay, Guad, so is this class banned or not? Can you break this down? Because it seems like there is a lot of back and forth behind it.
Gadi, well, technically the class isn't banned, right? What's banned is the content that includes sexual orientation and gender identity. Now, this all goes back to the law that critics call Don't Say Gay. This is the Parental Rights and Education Act here in Florida, which prohibits educators from teaching sexual orientation and gender identity in Florida. Now, initially, that law only included kindergarten, first, second, and third grade. But in April, the state's Department of Education decided to expand that and include all grades up to 12th grade. After that, the Department of Education asked the College Board to modify the AP Psychology course and take out those topics from the course. The College Board responded by saying they would not modify the class, and they rejected the Department of Education. So now the Department of Education is asking the schools to modify the course. They're also saying that any teacher that violates the rule could have their teaching license suspended or even revoked. So the class can be taught, but the College Board will no longer give those college credits to the students that take a modified version of the class. I should also add that the American Psychological Association is taking sides with the College Board, indicating in a statement that an advanced placement course like this one, Gadi, that ignores the decades of science studying sexual orientation and gender identity would deprive students of knowledge they will need to succeed. So it is a tough battle, but as of now, students that take this class in Florida would not receive credit because the only way to legally teach it is taking out that content, which experts say is very necessary for a psychology class. Gadi?
So what does that mean for a student who was planning on taking this course in the fall? I mean, the semester is right around the corner. They probably already have their schedule. What happens then?
Right. So this announcement is made a week before a lot of students go back to school, many of which were expecting to take the class. Gadi, if you look at the numbers, 292,000 students took the AP Psychology test last year in the United States, according to the College Board. Of those, 28,000 were in Florida. So that's about 10% of the students that take this class nationwide, which, by the way, they say is one of the most popular advanced placement classes. About 10% took that class in Florida. They won't be able to do so. So now the students have to figure out what kind of options are going to be given by the high schools. The high schools can choose to teach the modified version of the class. but then the student would not get that college credit. And, you know, with AP classes, students feel like they're more competitive. It helps them with the GPA. And also, it saves them some money, right? Because they can take the class in high school and then not have to take it in college. So there's several reasons why students would want to take another AP course. Now, this course not being certified by the College Board, if it's modified, then who knows what's going to happen. There's going to be a decision made by the schools and also by students moving forward. But teachers are also reacting, as well as parents and school administrators. Let's hear from some of them.
Those that went to Florida this year will not have the college credits that the other states' students will have. Now, that's a pretty big disadvantage.
I did the math today, and this AP course alone saved me over $2,000 in college tuition.
So it's going to be a tough decision to make for the schools, the districts, and also the teachers. We just found out about this yesterday. It was yesterday that they were informed by the Department of Education that they could not teach the class unless they modified it. And the College Board responded by saying, if the class is modified and they do not include gender identity and sexual orientation, then the class will not be valid to offer college credits. So that's where we stand today, Gadi, just a few days before high schools open up again and students return to school from summer.
So much confusion to wade through. Guad Venegas, thank you so much for explaining that. And we are expecting rain, and more rain across the country this weekend. Millions are at risk of this severe weather from Kansas to Washington, D.C. And our friends down south are already dealing with heavy flooding. These were taken today in Union City, Tennessee. The rain stalled cars, flooded homes and businesses. They saw an estimated 10 inches of rain since yesterday. Just 6 inches is enough rain to sweep a car off the road. Meanwhile, Death Valley National Park just hit 17 days straight with a temperature of over 120 degrees. Yeah, you heard that right. During the day, highs can be as much as 128, and at night, lows are still above 100. NBC's Bill Cairns joins us now. Bill, let's start with this heat. Who's feeling it the most right now, and are things going to cool down anytime soon?
When the sun sets, Gadi, but I mean, you're talking about a sunset right now where it feels like 110 in areas of, along the Gulf Coast. So it's just been an ugly, hot, humid week, and it's going to continue into your weekend. It's just, live indoors in the AC and try to survive. And you got to feel for anyone that has to work outdoors in these conditions. And it's, still hundreds all the way across the board. Of course, it's the dry heat, but we did hit once again above 105 today in Phoenix. And as we head into the weekend, we've been hovering right around 40 to about 80 million people under heat alerts for like the last month straight. And obviously, some weeks was a little worse, but that continues. And everywhere you see the bright pink, that's where it's dangerous. That's where we get heat stroke, heat exhaustion more easily in a shorter time period. And once again, we're going to threaten a lot of records. We're not crushing all-time records or even monthly records, but daily records once again. Dallas, you'll come close. Phoenix, 115 tomorrow. So we're really heating it up in the southwest. And Del Rio, you get the idea. How about New Orleans? 101. And that heat index will probably peak somewhere between 110 and 115 as we go throughout your afternoon on Saturday. Sunday, not much better. It's really the same story here, Gadi. We can't catch a break. If it would rain a little bit more, it would help out. But, Dallas goes 102, 100, and 105 again by Wednesday. So Dallas has their own little 100-degree streak going now into the double digits.
And where it is hot, it's not raining. And where it's not hot, it is raining, right?
It won't stop raining. Yeah. I was up in northern New England, and everyone was like, just let the rain end. I mean, it's just been a rainy summer. It hasn't been that hot. It's been humid and just daily downpours. And that was the case today. We had numerous problems with flash flooding. Rutland was one of those cases. Storms are beginning to die off. We did have a few instances of large hail and some power outages. And this flash flood watch will end in the next hour. So that's some good news. But as you mentioned, over the weekend, we recycle back to the middle of the country, and then we'll take this storm to the East Coast over the next 3 days. Slight risk of severe storms tomorrow. Keep an eye on the sky. Wichita to Topeka to Kansas City, back up to Omaha. And then on Sunday, this includes Chicago, St. Louis, Indianapolis, heading into areas a little bit of Ohio and a good chunk of Kentucky. And as far as the timing of all this mess goes, it does look like we're going to see the strongest storms typical mid to late afternoon. So here we are, 12 p.m. Saturday. Some isolated storms in Illinois. Illinois. And then we'll watch these storms firing up here, especially in Kansas, Saturday afternoon and evening. Chicago has a chance for some isolated rain. Then by the time we get into Sunday, we're going to watch that threat not so much in the early afternoon, more in the later evening. So here's how the forecast for the weekend shapes up. There's some nice weather out there after a stormy Friday. Saturday looks great in New England and much of the Northeast. There's a little bit of rain in Florida, but you'll probably take it to help cool you off. There's the record heat. If you want a gorgeous and warm, the Pacific Northwest, even Portland's going to be 90 degrees. It's going to be hot by your standards, but at least it will be dry compared to what's going to happen here in the Great Lakes. So, Gadi, I'd love to tell you this weather pattern is going to change. It will. I just don't know when yet.
Fingers crossed. Bill Cairns, thanks so much. Hey, welcome back. Let's get you caught up in 30 seconds. Union Square in Manhattan turned into complete chaos over some sort of PlayStation giveaway from a social media influencer. Thousands of people flooded that area, even jumping on top of cars and blocking traffic. There was a reenactment of the Parkland school shooting today with real bullets, and it's all because of a lawsuit against a former sheriff who's accused of failing to respond to that massacre. And the suspect accused of killing a gay man at a gas station in Brooklyn has just turned himself in. He's accused of stabbing 28-year-old O'Shea Sibley to death. And there's a new development in that Idaho quadruple murder case. Brian Kohlberger is accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students. However, this week, his lawyers are saying he has an alibi. Kind of. Take a look.
Brian Kohlberger's alleged alibi revealed for the first time. Kohlberger's attorneys say he was on a long drive alone the night 4 University of Idaho students were murdered in November. In a new 4-page court filing, the defense says Mr. Kohlberger has long had a habit of going for drives alone. Often he would go for drives at night. He did so late on November 12th and into November 13th, 2022. But beyond that, the defense didn't reveal much more in the alibi, adding, Mr. Kohlberger is not claiming to be at a specific location at a specific time. There is not a specific witness to say precisely where Mr. Kohlberger was at each moment around the time the murders took place.
They wanted to comply with the rules, not be precluded from an alibi defense, but give the state as little as they possibly could so they don't have to reveal their hand.
However, the defense did say it's possible corroborating evidence of the alibi could be provided by witness testimony during the trial that's scheduled to begin in October. Kohlberger is charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder for the deaths of Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Zana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. An Idaho judge entering a not guilty plea on Kohlberger's behalf. At the center of the case, a white Hyundai Elantra. A month before the murders, Kohlberger was pulled over by police, seen here driving alone in a white Hyundai Elantra.
He ran the red light.
Following the killings, investigators focusing on a similar car seen near the crime scene the morning of the murders.
If he was driving around in a white automobile, that's part alibi, part not an alibi, because the state is saying that he was driving around in a white automobile.
Now, the next time we see Kohlberger in court should be August 18th, and that is when his defense team is expected to try to get that grand jury indictment tossed out. Meanwhile, the family of Kaylee Gonzalez says they are looking forward to that hearing and hope that the judge will make decisive decisions to keep the case on track for an October trial. And turning now to some news that's coming in from the Food and Drug Administration. Just moments ago, they approved a game-changing treatment for women who struggle with postpartum depression. It's a new pill that can treat this type of depression at home, and it is the first of its kind. This is a big deal, considering that the CDC reports that 1 in 8 women struggle with postpartum after giving birth. And what makes this new pill even more groundbreaking is how fast it can help relieve some of the symptoms of depression. We are talking just a matter of days. NBC's Ann Thompson takes a closer look.
Marissa Newberry is a happy mother of 2 today. But after the difficult birth and hospitalization of her first daughter, she says she suffered postpartum depression.
I told my husband I didn't want to live anymore. And I really believed that he and my daughter would be better off without me.
It happened to Rosa Phillips after the birth of her second child.
I just felt very standoffish.
sad, crying, what most people would say was depression.
Both women were diagnosed with postpartum depression, a condition that affects 500,000 women a year. Symptoms include crying more than usual, feeling numb or disconnected from your baby, and worrying you will hurt your baby. The manufacturer says zuranolone works by targeting brain networks responsible for mood, arousal, behavior, and cognition. But it is the speed, working in as little as 3 days, that could be a difference maker, says one of the doctors involved in the trial.
It is so important that we have treatments that can act quickly. And current antidepressant therapy available orally can take weeks to months to work.
News of zuranolone thrills Marissa Newberry.
I absolutely wish that this had been an option for me.
Therapy, a support group, and medication eventually helped her cope. But for suffering moms and their families, time matters. Ann Thompson, NBC News.
Such a hopeful pill. And there are signs that COVID is making a comeback, and for a while there had been a consistent drop in cases nationwide, but now more people are going to the hospital for COVID than we've seen in a while. More than 8,000 people were hospitalized this past week. That is a 12% increase from a couple of weeks ago, but it is nowhere near what we were seeing in the early days of the pandemic. And joining us now is Dr. Uche Blackstock. She is the founder and CEO of Advancing Health Equity, and she's also an NBC News medical contributor. So, Doctor, why is COVID back?
Right, I know. Gadi, thank you so much for having me. And here we are again. This is our fourth summer with a COVID surge, although, as you said, it's not as significant as in the past. We're here because this summer has been very, very hot. People are moving indoors to air-conditioned spaces, and being in indoor crowded spaces increases the transmission of coronavirus. We're also seeing waning immunity. People who had their booster shots in the spring, that immunity is waning, and we're waiting for new boosters to be available in the fall. And then also there are Omicron subvariants that are still around. There's still new ones being formed. And so for all of those reasons, we're seeing this surge, even though it's relatively small, from the baseline this summer.
I forgot how much I hated the word variants. How much does COVID pose a threat in the coming weeks, especially leading into flu season here?
Right. So, again, we need to really focus on those people that are, particularly vulnerable. So those are people who are immunocompromised, who have weakened immune systems, and the elderly. Those are the people that we need to watch out most for, that need to be most careful about where they're going, assessing the risk of different activities they're engaging in, wearing masks, making sure that they are up to date on their boosters. Only 17% of Americans got their boosters the last go around. So we need to make sure that people are up to date, especially on those boosters, and that they have access to rapid tests. If you have symptoms, test yourself. If it's negative and you're still symptomatic, your best bet is to stay home and retest in 48 hours.
And Doctor, while we have you, I'm not sure if you were able to see the piece that we just ran on the news about postpartum depression and this new treatment. If you did, can I ask you what you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a game changer to have a medication for postpartum depression, which is depression, which is something that is not discussed as much. It's stigmatized. It affects, 1 in 8 women who have been pregnant. It actually accounts for about 10% of maternal deaths. So this is an issue that really needs to be addressed. You take a pill once a day, just for 2 weeks, and they were studied for about 45 days. Just keep in mind, this is for people with severe depression. Women with mild and moderate depression were not involved, as well as women who were breastfeeding. So again, we need to see how this medication works in all different groups. But for those with severe depression, this seems like a very important alternative.
Here's hoping, such an issue that is undercovered. We really appreciate you talking about it. Doctor, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And coming up, some of the big headlines trending around the world. Ukraine attacked a Russian warship with a drone apparently carrying 1,000 pounds of explosives. That's coming up next, so stay tuned. Hey, welcome back. Let's take a quick look around the world in 80 seconds. ISIS confirms its leader is now dead, killed in Syria. But this is the first time we're hearing about it since Turkey's government claimed forces killed him back in May. And the terror group says it's already named his successor. And it's winter in South America, meaning you don't expect a heat wave to be shattering temperature records, but parts of the Chilean Andes hit 100 degrees this week, while Buenos Aires hit temperatures of more than 20 degrees above normal. In Bolivia, the heat and drought is drying up the massive Lake Titicaca, and all of this is made worse by climate change. And President Putin's fiercest political critic, Alexei Navalny, has been sentenced to 19 more years in prison. Today, a Russian court sentenced him of financing and organizing extremist activity. He's already serving a 9-year sentence on fraud charges, which he calls bogus. And former Governor Chris Christie, presidential candidate, made a surprise visit to Ukraine today. He met with President Zelensky and the mayor of Kyiv. Christie made his support for Ukraine clear, which sets him apart from other Republican candidates looking to win the White House.
His concerns about wanting to end the war as quickly as possible. He regularly spoke about his desire for there to be bipartisan support for Ukraine.
And coming up, we want to show you a nighttime drone attack on a Russian warship launched by Ukraine. Now, this attack happened hundreds of miles from Ukrainian-held territory, and it shows a growing range of Ukraine's weapons a year and a half into this war. NBC's chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel has more.
The sea drone slips through the water silently under the cover of darkness. Its target is a Russian landing ship in the Black Sea. The pilotless, remotely operated kamikaze boat packed with explosives is closing in until the video released by Ukrainian security services breaks up. Afterwards, a Russian ship can be seen listing, being guided into a Russian harbor. The Russian military claimed it stopped the sea drone attack and made no mention of damage. NBC News geolocated the video and analyzed ship logs. The damaged ship looks very much like the one attacked by the drone. With Ukraine's counteroffensive making little progress so far in the east, it seems Ukraine is finding alternative ways to fight back and take the war to Russia. Using small drones to attack downtown Moscow, and now exploding boats.
Richard Engel, thanks so much. And before we go, imagine figuring out a way to actually clean up our oceans. Well, one man might have cracked that code. Oh, yeah. And he did it when he was only 16 years old. His incredible story. And finally, it has been an exciting week for the future of superconductors. Scientists behind the so-called LK99 experiment are promising the physics breakthrough of a lifetime. Right now, academics and amateurs are racing to find out if it's legit. And here's an update from the latter. An engineer named Andrew McCallum. We keep checking on his tweets or X's every single day. Here's the latest.
Oh, boy. There it is. You can see it standing up on its side. Okay, now remove the magnet. Now it lays flat. Okay, now put the magnet back in. See it orientate 90 degrees to the field. Okay.
Oh my, so what are we looking at? That is called the Meissner effect, happening in the United States in this replication attempt. That little teeny tiny levitating rock is made up of this material that 3 South Korean researchers claim could be the world's first room temperature superconductor. Now remember, all of this still has to be peer reviewed, and we got closer to that yesterday. A team from the Korean Society of Superconductivity and Cryogenics said it's setting up a committee to verify the experiment. At this point, the experts said it cannot be called room temperature superconductor based on the data they've seen so far, but they're not saying that it's completely out of the realm of possibilities. So we'll wait and see. But we do want to tell you about this other update. This one is from our favorite space telescope, the James Webb Telescope has just sent back a stunning image of a dying star. Take a look. This is the Ring Nebula, and it's about 2,200 light years away. All that pink and green dust is the remains of a star that was at one time about the same size as our own sun, but it's not just a pretty picture. Scientists say this high-resolution view is going to give them a new understanding of the final chapters of a star's life. And here's the thing. When we send humans up into space, it's not just the launch that NASA worries about. We got to get them back down to Earth safely. So NASA is now using the coast of San Diego to prepare for the trip back from the moon. And NBC's San Diego Brooke Martell has more on the preparations for getting Artemis II astronauts back home safely.
A successful test run to prepare for the real thing.
We are using these tests to make sure that we will be just as successful for Artemis II.
Tuesday, between NASA and its partnership with the Navy and Air Force, the first recovery test for the Artemis II was a success. Pilots and sailors stationed at North Island volunteered as stand-ins for the astronauts during the underway recovery test 10, which happened about 38 nautical miles off the coast of San Diego.
We took the CMTA out of the Murtha, and then we had the boats place it in a location that we picked as a splashdown site. During that time, we put the volunteers into the CMTA, closed the hatch, and then we started the sequence of simulating that splashdown recovery.
The work and practice runs happening today are all in preparation for the official mission that's expected to take off in late 2024. 4 astronauts will make up the Artemis II mission to venture around the moon before landing in the Pacific Ocean in the Orion spacecraft. Before that happens, the crew will test out this article for themselves to prepare them for the eventual splashdown.
Landing recovery is a very small part of their entire training, and so that's why we're looking forward for URT 11 to train them.
Assignment of the week. Brooke Martell, thanks so much. And finally tonight, the best of us. So often we hear about world problems from people that talk a lot, but they don't always back up words with actions. And then there's someone like the guy you are about to meet who talks very, very little, but has done more for cleaning up our oceans than maybe anyone alive today. He is the brilliant mind behind the Ocean Cleanup Project. And even though he gets very, very seasick, it hasn't stopped him from helping remove over 4 tons of trash out of our waters every single day.
It's so rare to see a moment that could change the world. But in these waters, with more plastic than fish, a 16-year-old asked himself a question we should never forget.
I asked myself, why can't we just clean this up?
10 years later, Boyan Slat has dedicated his life to answering that single question. He's been pretty successful.
This is one of your babies, huh?
One of my yachts, yes.
Wow, one of your yachts. On behalf of Angelinos that live here, thank you for this.
Interceptor 007 in Los Angeles stopped 77 tons of trash from reaching the Pacific during the runoff from all those atmospheric rivers this year.
We were surprised by the amount of trash that came down.
The oceans are massive, and these interceptors are tiny, and no one knows that better than Boyan.
Considering the scale of the problem, giving up was never an option.
His genius is knowing that in order to tackle a problem of this magnitude, you need hard data. Boyan is responsible for the international scientific expedition across the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, and much of what humanity knows about the patch and those currents comes from him. His organization has also perfected this dragnet system that is currently able to collect 4 tons of trash every day.
The system we have in the ocean right now sweeps an area the size of a football field every 10 seconds.
Wow.
Satisfying for us to watch, but Boyan sees it differently.
We also need to stop new plastic from reaching the ocean.
Using AI-powered cameras, Boyan and Ocean Cleanup have analyzed dozens of rivers around the world and learned that 80% of ocean surface plastic comes from just 1% of the world's rivers. And so far, there is one river that keeps him up at night, the Rio Las Vacas in Guatemala.
The river in Guatemala is off the chart. We experienced what we call a trash tsunami, like a flash flood of plastic coming down the mountain. You're seeing just miles and miles of coastline full of garbage that slipped through our fingers. It just felt personal.
But a year later, their interceptor stopped over 1,000 tons of trash in the first month alone.
On one hand, the past 10 years have been way more difficult than I could have ever imagined. On the other hand, I'm also more optimistic than ever that we can actually solve this problem.
And it all started when you were 16 trying to learn how to scuba dive.
Yeah, it got a bit out of hand, I would say.
A bit out of hand, fortunately for the rest of us. And Boyan says if they keep progressing the way that they have, we could actually see clean oceans by the year 2040. Absolutely incredible. Boyan, I'm so glad you're on this planet with us. That does it for us tonight. I'm Gadi Schwartz. We'll see you on Monday, but until then, stay tuned now.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.